Today I'm here with Andrew Ludke, the founder of AVID Media. Now, since they've joined Outbound Systems, Andrew and his team have generated over 95 plus leads. Andrew, I appreciate you taking the time today. Could you give us a quick intro and a breakdown of what AVID Media does?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brandon. AVID Media is a partnership rep firm where we bring brand partnerships across the network of publishers we represent. And Outbound System has been instrumental in how we build our pipeline across all the markets that we're in. I think what's tricky about our business is we don't have a singular offer. There's not just a singular sales pitch we're making. We work in 35 different markets, so we have to be hyper targeted in building these pitches across all the different brands in these niches. And OS has been a huge piece of our growth to get at scale of outreach across all these different verticals.
Definitely, and it's been amazing to see because most clients that do come on, they are sending at scale and you're getting similar results to them with such niche and hyper-specific campaigns. So it's been an absolute pleasure watching those obviously progress. Now, when you, of course, came on, how was your experience with, like, of course, the onboarding process? Was everything smooth? Was it easy to implement on your end once you kind of got into it?
We were using Apollo before to do our data gathering. I think why we've been successful is we can send a very hyper-targeted message across any of the markets that we're in, but we can also target specific contacts in these industries that we're going after. And after a while, Apollo just broke down, where the transition to OS was not only smooth, but I think we learned a lot throughout the entire process. There was a whole intake form on why our process was broken before, how OS can solve it. And it was eye-opening at the time about the different tech infrastructure needed to have success if you're going to be doing cold email as part of your company's outbound outreach. And we learned a lot very quickly through the intake process, and then within 2 weeks we were up and running and seeing significantly better results than we had previously. So it wasn't just helpful from an onboarding standpoint, it was helpful from a learning and education standpoint, a best practices standpoint. And I think we evaluated a bunch of different providers before selecting OS, and that's why you guys stood out.
Well, I do appreciate the kind words. And of course, that does take me into the next question of, with the main challenges you were facing on your cold email setup before signing up for our cold email setup, what was the main thing that was kind of holding you back before you came on to OS?
Deliverability. I mean, I know there's a lot of different companies that use OS who are sending significantly more scale than we are. And so when we might only be sending 1,000 emails per sequence in some of these verticals and for some of these markets that we're in. And so if we're getting below average deliverability, we're just losing all that opportunity for pipeline. And that's what we saw with our process that was broken. And we just weren't landing in inboxes. We weren't getting as many responses as we were before. And so with a company like us, that was the big reason, and the big success that we saw after making the pivot was we were landing in inboxes. We were getting responses, even if they weren't resulting in meetings right away. There was a back and forth that was happening that helped us build our pipeline. And even if that response wasn't an opportunity at the exact moment, it might have come to fruition 6 months down the road, or even a year down the road. Now is how long we've been working with you guys.
Now, the last question from my end, and it's ultimately a question that you already kind of touched on already, but how important was email deliverability in your decision to utilize our service?
It came down to deliverability and a little bit of trust too. I think there's a lot of agencies that think they can do cold email for you, and so deliverability was important. But I think the trust I felt, Matthew Johnson, I'll give him a shout out. He helped us kind of day one when I reached out to him and like teaching us about all these different things that we didn't know before. And I felt like I could trust Matt and the engineer who helped us onboard. And then obviously we've had a relationship, Brandon, for a year. I've always feel like the comfort in that. And so it was about deliverability, but I think why we chose you guys versus the myriad of other options we were evaluating was because you're good people, and we felt like you had our best interests in mind, and we felt like you understood our business. I think that's important too, is you really got into the nitty gritty of, we're a publisher we represent different publishers. We sell media on a day-to-day basis. You understood what like our ICP was and what we were looking for, and that was an important piece too.
Well, I appreciate the kind words on myself and on, of course, Matt's behalf. But with that, thank you very much for sharing your experience with us, Andrew. It's been great working with you, and we're excited to see how Avid Media continues to grow in the future. And all the best.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks, Brandon.